So you're going to notice a bit of a pattern with all these Dragon Ball Z movies. You see, unlike the show that they're based off, they tend to either be god-awful or just kind of average, with a few of them leaning a little more towards being kinda good. I think with my Dead Zone review, I let a lot of things slide. Things that I normally wouldn't let slide, like continuity errors. But this time, things are different. The kid gloves are off. Now, we're not going to waste a lot of time here, we're just going to delve right into this movie because there's a lot of continuity errors to talk about. The film starts off proper with Gohan and Oolong running off with Bulma's Dragon Radar after Oolong notices that someone's looking for the Dragon Balls. And who's Oolong, you might ask? The short answer is, it doesn't matter who he is, because 2/3 of the Dragon Ball fan base tends to forget he even exists. That is also the long answer. It turns out that the Dragon Balls are being gathered by this old coot right here, who we can only assume is the same guy who controls these things that try to kill Piccolo. After returning home from his little expedition in the mountains and nearly dying, Gohan decides that it's a perfectly fine time to start experimenting with acid and goes on a really bad trip. I mean, this trip is way worse than the one in the first film.
I'm totally tripping balls.
Before I go any further, I want to talk about the huge, glaring continuity error here. It's a continuity error so fucking big that Godzilla could stand on the blimp with Optimus Prime on his shoulders, have Optimus Prime reach upwards, and still not touch the fucking ceiling. You see, the Dragon Balls were used in the last movie. They can only be used once per year, with the balls turning to stone until a full year has passed after their last using. Which means this film takes place a year after Dead Zone. Now, if that film is supposed to take place after the fight with Raditz, then this film has to take place after the fight with Nappa and Vegeta. Only it can't because the Dragon Balls were used the day Nappa and Vegeta came to Earth, and if this movie happens a year after that, then Gohan, Krillin, and Bulma are already on their way to Namek, Piccolo and the Dragon Balls are fucking dead, and Goku's flat on his ass in the hospital. But then I guess we could argue that the films take place in a different continuity than the one in the series, right? Well, nope. Because while Gonads is busy tripping balls, we see Piccolo defending him from Nappa's attack, which means that the show and the movies share the same continuity. Unless Gohan is this reality's version of Vibe, yes, the DC Comics character, and is actually getting a vision from the show's continuity, which to the movie Gohan is a different continuity. Or the makers of the film just fucked up. That's actually, they fucked up. Chris, how far into this are we? What, 10 minutes? Oh, fuck me. We cut to Master Roshi's house, where the most bored-sounding female on the planet is forcing a fucking pig to make dinner.
Then I've got no other choice.
What are you gonna do?
I'll have to order some takeout. Huh?
Hey, Turtle, get that, would you? I'm a little busy.
Oh, and then they're visited by the most polite lackeys ever. They rung the fucking doorbell and everything. They even waited for someone to answer the door and didn't just storm in. My god. I'm amazed they didn't come in to ask to use the telephone, too. And these Cybermen-looking motherfuckers are here to bring Master Roshi to some dude named Dr. Wheelo. However, Roshi doesn't exactly want to go with him, and after showing how much of a fucking badass Master Roshi is, even in his old age, they decide to show just how SMRT he is, because after he kicks the shit out of the Diet Cybermen, they get right back up and hold Bulma hostage. Yeah, expert martial artist doesn't know when his opponents are actually unconscious.
I'm sure you wouldn't want anything bad to happen to the girl.
I think you should accept his invitation. It would be rude not to.
And you'd imagine that being held hostage would make you show some sort of emotion, like, I don't know, terror or fear or something. But by God, Tiffany Vollmer is hell-bent on never once showing an actual emotion. This woman sounds so disinterested. I don't even have I can't even think to compare her to anyone else. I have never heard another human being that's that disinterested. It's like, real talk, okay, I've got friends that watch Doctor Who. I don't watch Doctor Who. I don't care about Doctor Who. I know a lot of people do like Doctor Who, and if you like it, that's good for you. But when I have two friends in particular, you know who you are, talk about Doctor Who, and when they go on about that shit, I'm just sitting there, the most disinterested thoughts running through my head, and I'm just sitting there, wow, I'm not even half as disinterested as Bulma. Like, shit, what does it take to get you to emote? Do they have to kill a kitten in the fucking recording booth to get you to show something? My God, woman. There are robots that are better programmed with personality than you are. So, with no other option, Roshi decides to go with them. Oolong, being the brave, important, responsible character he is, decides to go tell Goku who's bathing in an oil drum. Yeah, no, I'm sorry. Goku's best friend is the wealthiest woman in the world. You'd imagine that Bulma would be able to throw him a fucking bone once in a while. Maybe after she buys some emotions. So Goku sets out to find everyone, and Roshi gets his ass kicked by a bunch of bioorganic fighters that Dr. Wheelo made. Yeah, we'll talk more about them later. And it's here we learn just who Dr. Wheelo is. He and his assistant, Dr. Cochin, were scientists whose theories were deemed unethical and inhumane, and they were sorta kicked out of the scientific community because of them. During a freak accident half a century ago, the two were thought dead, only for Dr. Wheelo to have lost his body in the accident, and for Dr. Cochin to have transplanted it into a giant brain inside of a machine. He and Dr. Cochin kidnapped Roshi, thinking he was the strongest warrior on Earth, because 50 years ago he was, and they want the world's strongest fighter so that they can take their body, put Dr. Wheelo's consciousness in it, and wait for it, take over the world.
Of course!
Oh, and they also have a weapon that can destroy life, and not like just kill living things. I mean, it can turn woodland into an uninhabitable desert, which begs the question, when you have a weapon that can do that, why the fuck do you need an organic body? I mean, why not just put Dr. Wheelo's consciousness into that weapon? It sounds like a good plan to me. And better yet, if they thought Master Roshi was the strongest fighter and they could just make fighters like they made the bioorganic fighters, then what the fuck stops Dr. Cochin from just making an organic body for Dr. Wheelo? I mean, fuck, they made fighters stronger than Master Roshi, who they previously thought was the strongest fighter on Earth. So, why not just make a body for Dr. Wheelo? Jesus Christ, Professor Chaos has better planned out schemes. When Goku arrives, he's met by the guys who kicked Roshi's ass. We'll call them Herp, Derp, and Do. First up is the big yellow dude, who is now called Derp now. And Goku kills him just by ripping through him, and then decides that after one kill, that he's earned a one-liner.
Looks like I took the air out of that guy.
While fighting the other two lackeys, Goku is eventually bested and frozen in place by Pink Raccoon's freeze beam.
I was frozen today!
It's here that he's saved by Gohan and Krillin.
You should have brought me along, Goku. You could have avoided this mess altogether.
I don't know why, but Krillin sounds oddly sexual here. Must fight the urge to undress. Oh, wait, my shirt doesn't have buttons. Oh, and guess how long they last? About 10 seconds. Yeah, Goku has to bust out of his prison to save them, making their rescue attempt pointless. Way to go, with your powers combined, you're Yamcha. Goku kicks some more asses, because of course he does. And after more exposition from the brain in a jar, Goku is held captive and Krillin is confronted by Piccolo, who looks like he started celebrating 420 a little early.
It's Piccolo?
Oh, hi, Krillin. I was just heading to 7-Eleven to get some Doritos. Hey, Goku, you got any snacks? No? No, okay, I'll just punch this Gohan-shaped pinata till he throws up candy. After a bit more fighting, Gohan decides to use the Force to fuck everything up. Piccolo comes to his senses, Dr. Wheelo decides to get off his lazy ass, and Dr. Cochin falls to his death. Oh, and Dr. Cochin was a robot! Because of course he was. With all the players on stage, the film begins to race towards its climax. And you know, this wouldn't be a Dragon Ball Z movie if someone didn't charge in and get his ass kicked like a moron. You know, I don't see how anyone could have viewed Piccolo as a threat. So far, the past two movies have shown him to be a fucking moron that just runs into battle without analyzing his opponent, which is nothing at all like he is in the show. I guess they just wanted someone to play the Vegeta role before Vegeta got here. Sort of warming Vegeta's seat, if you will. Dr. Wheelo takes to space to destroy the Earth, with Krillin, Gohan, and Piccolo giving chase. Having them in a tight spot, Wheelo fires a beam of energy directly at Goku. I mean, he's in space, okay? Goku's on the fucking ground. This motherfucker, I don't care if you're a robot, if you're a Saiyan, if you're goddamn motherfucking Superman. How does Goku retaliate? Well, with the Spirit Bomb. An attack that can only be described as being punched in the face by a fucking planet. Of course, the Spirit Bomb connects, killing Dr. Wheelo and saving the day. Okay, so this movie is, well, a lot better than the first movie. It's not so good on the plot holes and inconsistencies, but it's not bad. It's not the best in the series, but it does improve on everything that was wrong with the Dead Zone. The most glaring improvement is the dub. Gohan, despite his voice actress reprising her role, sounds a lot better in this film. She doesn't get on my nerves, and I can hear Dr. Wheelo without being annoyed and thinking that it's peel-off. So, that's a plus. The pacing of the movie is also a lot better. With Dead Zone, Goku just fought off Garlic's goons, and then him and Piccolo fought Garlic himself. Here, Goku has an actual amount of struggle, and there's barely a moment where he's not the underdog. He's constantly outmatched by just about everything Wheelo throws at him. And it actually feels like there's a legitimate threat at work here. Oh, and the fights are a lot better too. Last comparison to Dead Zone, I swear, but the fights in that film were far too dragged out. Goku and Piccolo spent about a quarter of the film fighting cannon fodder, and the other half fighting Garlic Jr. The worst part was that after all that fighting, neither one got to actually finish Garlic Jr. off. So it felt like there was very little payoff for all that hard work. Here, the fights are the proper length. Goku comes in, he fights the goons, he's done with them very quickly. He fights Piccolo, he's done with that very quickly. And then he gets to Dr. Wheelo and he fights him, and again, it's done very quickly. It's not one long fight scene, it's several fight scenes in between some actual story building. They're also actually pretty well animated. I mean, it's really surprising to see the fights in Dragon Ball Z look this fluid, even when they intentionally try to make it look choppy like it is in the show. I gotta say, it's kudos to Toei. If there's a bad thing in this film, I'd have to say it was the plot. With Dead Zone, you could sort of forgive some of the continuity errors, since Goku never explicitly states that Gohan is his son to Krillin, so maybe Krillin didn't know, so he could still be surprised later when Goku tells him about Gohan at Roshi's. But here, you just have too much. The worst part is the one at the end where Goku uses the Spirit Bomb, indicating that the fight with Vegeta has indeed happened, and that by this point in the series, he should be resting, Piccolo should be dead, and that Gohan, Krillin, and anime Kristen Stewart should be off in space. Another problem I do have with the plot is just, it's honestly kind of pointless. Dr. Wheelo could have just made himself a body. But I guess if you're a big enough Dragon Ball fan, you can probably overlook all these errors and just enjoy it for the fights, which I do believe is a legitimate reason to enjoy a Dragon Ball movie. The fights are good, and I'd even say they kind of delve into being great. The plot, as silly as it is, it works, since Dr. Wheelo actually does feel like a pretty big threat. He's probably the most threatening villain in any of the Dragon Ball Z movies, but honestly, that's a debate for another time. For now, though, DBZember 2015 has officially come to an end. Hell, it's not even 2015 anymore, it's 2016. So, while we move forward into this new year, we'll be looking back at some of the anime I wanted to talk about last year, but never got around to them. One of them being an anime that just wrapped up and has garnered a lot of praise. It's One Punch Man. You already knew that. It's One Punch Man. Till next time. My son is not a piñata. Are you a piñata? Ow, I think he broke my jaw. Huh. Sounds like something only a piñata would say. Hit him again, Piccolo.